Welcome to this month's episode of Senior Travel Adventures. This is such a fun show that I get to make and talk to all these fun people and share my travels and the travels of others with you. This month, I'm speaking to Janice Waugh. She started Solo Travel Society 15 years ago, and it offers a website for solo travelers along with a weekly newsletter that comes and gives you deals on different solo trips with no or low solo supplements, which is great for those of us who choose to travel solo. I'm also going to speak with Erick Garrity. I had the pleasure of meeting him on my last tour, and I was amazed. He's been on 17 tours as a solo traveler, and he's going to share a little bit about his travels with us and talk about how he got started. So please stay tuned. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Senior Travel Adventures. And with me today, I have Janice Waugh. Janice is part of a website that's called Solo Traveler, and she also has a weekly newsletter that is so full of information. So I was really happy that she could join us today so that we could talk a little bit about her weekly newsletter, what it contains, and some tips and tricks for solo travel. So welcome, Janice.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So the solo travel market, as you know, is just growing by leaps and bounds. In fact, I was at a travel show and they said that solo travel is one of the fastest growing market segments. How long have you been in this environment and producing this newsletter?
So I started the website in 2009.
Oh.
So it's been 15 years now. And the newsletter started about a year later.
Great. And the newsletter is so wonderful. I noticed that now you have to have a link out because there's so much information. So, what is some of the things that you focus on? So are you aggregating all this information from these travel companies?
Okay, so we actually send out a few different kinds of newsletters. So the first Sunday of the month, it's what we call our newsletter, and we do pull usually about 3 articles off the internet that are current, new, that we think people should know about. And then from there, we give people an update on what's been published on our site. Then on the second and fourth Mondays of the month is where we send out information from our advertisers. So our advertisers, you will be publishing 4 to 6 trips that they are promoting specifically for solo travelers.
Okay.
And to be able to advertise on our site, the single supplement can be no more than 20%, and sometimes it's 0. So are you familiar with the single supplement?
Yes, in fact, I was going to ask you about that as soon as you finished this thought was, that's one of the things that I hear most frequently from solo travelers is this, every time they want to go somewhere, they almost have to sometimes pay double to go because of being a solo. And that's what drew me to your site initially, was because you have all these options. So 20% is the max that you will let on, which is very good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reality in terms of the economics for the tour companies, right? But the reality is not 100%. And that was the norm when I started the email list of tours for solo travelers. And yes, so we have this 20% ceiling. Now, people might go through to a website and find a different tour they want from that company, and it may be over 20%. But if they're promoting it to our readers, it's a 20% max.
Got it. Yeah, because that has been, just as I just said, I looked at a couple of different things for myself, and it was ridiculous. And cruises are notorious for that. Some of the tour companies, they will offer sales and things. But yeah, they totally have the cruise lines, I hope, will be are paying more attention. They told me at this travel show that they are paying more attention to the solo market. Have you seen that becoming better so far, or not too much?
When it comes to ocean cruising, no. When it comes to river cruising, yes. So there are many options around on river cruises that that are really quite good. Ocean cruising, there are some ships with solo cabins.
Mm-hmm.
They're internal cabins. They're kind of capsules. They're not very large, but they also have a community area. So I've not actually experienced it because I don't do a lot of ocean cruising, but my
Mm-hmm.
understanding is that it's fairly small. If you want to get a good deal on a cruise, it's like an ocean cruise. It seems to me to be a last minute thing. Like you have to be,
Yes.
you check it a week in advance, and if you can go, you can go. But to otherwise to get a good deal on ocean cruising can be quite tricky.
Yeah, I that's what I found too. I did talk to one of the major cruise lines when I was at the last travel event, and they were talking about one of their newer ships coming out with extra cabins that have balconies versus the closet, because that's really where solo travelers have been relegated into these tiny rooms, with no windows, which is not my style either. I'm actually about to go on my first river cruise.
River cruises, you're looking at usually 130 people, maybe as many as 160, but that's about as high as it goes for a cruise ship. And that creates a really good atmosphere for solo travelers. Dinner seatings, it's usually maybe one, it's usually often one, sometimes it's two, depending upon the time of year and how full the ship is. And so the opportunity to go and sit with different people all the time, and the groups kind of form, but there's a lot of reception, a lot of receptivity for solo travelers. I have found it great. One tip that I do have is that when you first start going to dinner, always say, can I join you at the dinner
Mm.
table? Right? Yes. Thank you so much. This is so much fun. I get to try a different table, all the time.
Uh-huh.
So you're not stuck with these people that
Right.
they might be wonderful people, but they're not expecting you to come and join them all the time. So
Right. And I
I do
agree
that
with
for a
that.
few, yeah, I do that for a few days, and then I start, sticking with the people that I find the most interesting and most enjoyable. But to start off that way and kind of set the tone that you have fun as a solo traveler, going around and meeting all sorts of people, it gives you a bit more freedom.
That's great. That's a great tip, because one of the things that I also read a lot in the forums and things are people are like, well, when they're at dinner alone, they're worried about that, or they are worried about people saying, "Oh, you poor thing, you're traveling by yourself." Most of us travel solo by choice, not because we have to. We like the flexibility and the freedom, but that's one of my favorite parts of solo travelers, meeting new people and engaging and finding out their stories. But you're right. After you're with a group for a few days, you start to know who you might want to learn more about. And the last two tours that I went on, I'm still in contact with many of those people. We had a fabulous time together, and not all solos, but ironically, two of the gentlemen on my last solo trip were male
Yeah.
solo travelers. So have you been seeing that more? Because I think traditionally you don't always see a lot of male solo travelers. So have you
Yeah,
seen that?
um I usually see, like, I don't take that many tours, but when I do, it's usually one or two, and they're pretty steady over the years. I do have a sense that more men are traveling solo, but it really is more women than men that are out there.
Right, right, right. So what do you think the number one challenge is today for a solo traveler?
It's changed over the years. Um, Safety and eating alone were the two biggies for quite a while. People, feel uncomfortable eating alone as if people are watching them, things like that. That's gone away. If we mention that now, the community. So on Facebook, we have a community of 270,000, and it's
Right.
pretty vibrant. So if we were to raise how do you manage eating alone? Oh, they'd go nuts because that's just not an issue anymore.
Right.
And safety's not as much of an issue either. I think technology has really come along and makes people feel more safe. And there's been a lot of focus around safety over the years, right? And so I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that because so many new people are traveling solo, I think that it's the issue of, being alone with oneself is concerning for people. Are they going to
Right.
be bored? How am I going to meet people? Am I going to be lonely? These are the questions that people ask more frequently now.
Right. And I also feel like it's solo travel, and I've mentioned this on previous episodes, solo travel is not for everyone. And there's no harm in that. If you go on a solo trip and it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. And everybody has a different travel style, and that's pretty much what I'm finding. And as we wrap up, what has been one of your favorite trips? And I'm sure you have lots of trips, so it's hard to pick one.
It really is hard. Um, yeah. You know, it is about the people I meet. So, one very memorable fellow was in Key West, right? That's not a particularly adventurous trip, you wouldn't think, but he was just such a memorable fellow. But I guess, some of the more interesting ones, certainly India was very interesting. I did enjoy that. I did do that independently. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
rather than on a tour. So that was really interesting. Yeah, it was great. I did a cruise through Eastern Europe from
Oh,
Bucharest to Budapest. That was wonderful. Really,
okay.
really interesting to do that. Morocco, Chile. Yeah, like how do you choose, right?
Right. It's just that's how I feel. I'm like, I went to Iceland and now all I can talk about is Iceland. But also while I was there, I went to Amsterdam and I really liked it. And now I'm going to Zurich and I'm going on the Rhine River cruise. And then I'm going to Morocco later this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to choose once you get out there and start traveling like this. And at a certain point in our lives, we've worked hard to get here to be able to take some of these trips that maybe when we were, working in a corporate job like me, where I couldn't take all these trips. I did a lot of business travel, but I never like even thought about putting a day on, or now I do that. If I do have to take a business trip, I'm going to add a day in the front and the back and see the sights.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, when you get to do so much travel, when you have that opportunity finally, it's a pretty wonderful thing.
Well, I want to just thank you for what you do because it has been a game changer for a lot of people, including myself. And the people I've had already on the episodes have all had an impact on my solo travel. And that's why I've invited the people that I've had because it's been so beneficial to me. And I want my audience to share in those benefits. And of course, we'll put up all the information on the screen so that people can join your newsletter and keep up with all the great things that you offer. So thank you so much again for joining me today and hope to see you out there on our travels.
Sounds great. Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Thank you, Janice. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Senior Travel Adventures. And I am very happy today to have someone with me that I actually met on one of my most recent tours. This is Erick Garrity, and he is from Kentucky, and he is a very experienced solo traveler on many, many tours. So thank you for joining me today, Erick.
Glad to
And
be here.
awesome. And how did you get started traveling?
Well, my wife and I, we did a lot of motor coach tours in the United States, a couple in Canada. She had been overseas. She'd been to the Holy Land, but I had never been outside North America. Well, she passed away several years ago, and we never got to do that together. And about a year after it happened, dates were coming up that I didn't want to be sitting idle. And I thought, well, I'm going to go to Europe. Where am I going to go? Well, I always wanted to go to Ireland, and we had talked about going to Ireland. And I have like an ancestral link there. but what tour company to use? You can read reviews. Everything's anecdotal. One person loves a company, one person hates them. What do you do? I don't really consider myself to be a solo traveler. I'm really more of what you would call a single traveler.
Okay.
Because when I travel to a tour, I will join a group of tour participants and get acquainted with them and travel with them. So I'm not really traveling solo, but I am traveling single because I'm getting single occupancy and I'm unaccompanied. You just meet people. So I'm really a single traveler, not a solo traveler.
And that's how we met.
That's right. That's right. I was on one of these tours. We did.
And I was a single traveler on the tour as well.
Exactly.
And that's how we got to know each other.
You're a jet setter. I don't travel independently the way you do. Sometimes I'll fly independently and then join a tour. But I've done 16 tours. All of them were to Europe except for one. I went to Mexico, rural Mexico. And my traveling's tailed off a little bit this year. I did 7 tours last year in 2023.
That's amazing.
I've only done one so far. I did Portugal and Spain in January, but I'm doing the Baltics coming up shortly. I'm going to do the Baltic countries.
So I want to mention to my viewers that you are retired. You work for the government, and so you are retired and do have the available time to do this. And many of my viewers are obviously retired or semi-retired.
Yeah, I am. I'm always shopping trips, looking for some way to beat the single supplement. And it helps to be flexible in your travel dates because of that.
I think you probably know, much like I did, one of the tour companies, the one that we met through, they had a no solo supplement. So of course everybody jumps on that. But what was your favorite? What do you think out of these past 16? Let's go just for the 16.
Okay.
What was one of your favorite trips out of those?
That's a hard ask. It really is, because it sounds trite, but true. I've enjoyed every tour that I've taken. I've been to Ireland 3 times, but I'd have to say for the total experience, the quality of it and how much I enjoyed myself, I did a trip to Sicily and Malta last year. It was a smaller group of people. We did a lot of things away from the tourist crowds, really got into the culture, and I really, really enjoyed it. We went in October, so the weather was nice, wasn't crowded. But I mean, I could go on and on about the trips. Like I said, I've enjoyed every one that I've done. That's probably why I keep doing them.
So do you have any funny stories and anything weird happened to you or funny on any?
Well, I'll tell on myself. One or two. My last trip before the pandemic, I was in Vienna, and this was with a tour group, and we were touring the palace. I can't remember the name of it. It's a huge palace, and I was on the palace grounds. And a lot of statues around and stuff. And there was this one statue, it was in bronze, and it was a Baroque musician, looked like it was holding a violin, maybe a viola, I don't know. And tourists were taking pictures of it and thinking, oh, I got to take a picture of that. That's interesting. So I run over there, and I get my selfie and everything. And then I look down and I see the bow shift just slightly on the strings on the viola. And then it hit me like a light bulb came on. Oh, this isn't a statue. This is performance art.
Funny. So it was like all bronze instead of the silver guys.
And I'm like, oh my, this guy is, he's standing still and posing. And I was mortified because, I sometimes you don't see things. And but I tipped the guy €5, so it ended well. So that was funny. That was my bumbling tourist episode.
When you went to Ireland, did you see the Cliffs of Moher? One of my favorite things.
No, I have not. I've been 3 times. And every time the weather has never cooperated. It's never cooperated. And I go back with my son. We're going to see the Cliffs of Moher.
You must. And the weather wasn't cooperative when I was there either, but
Yeah.
I still went. In fact, I've got some crazy videos of it, how much it was blowing, but it was one of those things on, at least on my travels, that is so memorable in my mind. And
I know the trip to Scotland on the Isle of Skye.
Oh, lovely.
Beautiful place. I don't know if you've ever been. You should go if you haven't been. And we
I
saw
have not.
Oh, you've got to go to Kilt Rock. It's kind of like the Cliffs of Moher, just not as majestic, you know.
Okay.
And
Well, yeah, it's just been, for me, and I mean, I just admire how many trips you've been on, and how and I like, and you're right, I do both travel. I do the tour thing, and there's a lot of things to be said about the tour. One is it's very easy, and you don't have to plan too much, and I kind of like that. But when I went to Ireland and England, I did it on my own, and I was able to plan everything and see everything that I wanted. But I was able, and I think I probably told you, that there's a picture of me that I have on one of my videos of me pointing to Big Ben, and that you took that picture of me.
Yeah. I took the
so
one of you with the windmill too.
The windmill picture that's in the opening of the show, you took.
In Holland, yes, I took that picture. Blame me.
That was you. And actually, in one of my videos, there's a picture, and there's a back version of you walking away. So you became a star in all my videos. So I so appreciate you taking the time, and we're going to share pictures, if we haven't already, of some of your travels as well. And you went to Turkey when?
I'm going to Turkey in October.
Oh, okay.
I have it booked. Let's hope that part of the world, the violence doesn't spread further.
Yeah.
Because the Holy Land is on my list.
I've been reading a lot about it, and I'm sure you have on all of our social media about people who have gone to some of the places near there and have felt very safe. But it's true. We don't know what the future might hold. And that's one of the things. But I think it's really great now that we get to travel more freely than we ever did. And I just came back from a family friends trip where I went to the southeast part of the country and had just a really good time, and saw Savannah. I had not seen Savannah, Georgia. So I have some Savannah pictures, and that was fun. So I didn't make it up there while I was there. I was in Tennessee, but not quite to Kentucky.
Okay. Well, if you ever come to Kentucky, have breakfast at the Kingland Track Kitchen.
Okay.
A tip from a local.
All right. Sounds good. I love breakfast. All
Me too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This month in our backyard segment offers a few ideas for local events and travel. This community offers a great deal of clubs that also offer a lot of travel. You can find information on the clubs on the Laguna Woods Village website, on flyers outside of the clubhouses, and of course on the club's individual websites and the Globe. For example, the Wine Lovers Club is going to have a trip to the Hollywood Bowl on July the 4th and a catamaran trip out of Dana Point at the end of July. Both of those sound like a lot of fun. Another upcoming event that is definitely in our backyard is the Pageant of the Masters. Each year a theme performance entertains us, along with music, art, and a lot of great things that you can find just a few miles down the road. So the tickets are being sold now. The event runs from July 6th to the end of August, I think August 30th, and that ticket gives you an entrance to the show. Also, you can use the ticket for entry to the art part and to the music and to access the food. And don't forget the Sawdust Festival, also just right there for you. And I was thinking about Catalina Island the other day. And I started looking up how the great trips they have to Catalina Island, whether you're going for an overnight or for the day, just 22 miles across the Pacific Ocean and you're there. So that is definitely in our backyard, but it feels like it's a lot farther away than that. So on June 22nd in the Two Harbors, they're going to offer their annual wine festival where they're going to have live music and, of course, wine tasting. So thank you again for joining me on Senior Travel Adventures. I have so many great guests planned for upcoming episodes. It's hard to fit them all in. So I am also going to have a podcast where I'll continue talking to travelers, and you can access that on my YouTube channel in addition to watching it here on Village TV or also on a local public access channel called CMAC in the Central California area. Trips that I will be highlighting for my audiences are a cruise to Antarctica, 2 river cruises in Europe, a Rocky Mountaineer Railway trip that I'm going to be taking and very excited about, and a 3-month cruise taken by a well-known Laguna Woods resident who's going to show us some of the great pictures that she took. And additionally, look for a special announcement about a trip that I'm curating for my audience that you may just be interested in taking. And if you have a trip of interest, be sure to email me because I'm looking for a lot of different trips to share with my audience. And many of you have been on great trips, I know. So let me know, and maybe you'll be one of my guests. So take care, and I'll see you on the road.